Hello and welcome to Prep Days 2 for GetHired 2021. My name is Mazuma Zahid. I am the president of Pakistani Women in Computing, and I'm really excited to talk to all of you about LinkedIn and self-branding. I hope you all can hear me. If you can, please leave it in the chat that my audio and my screen is actually visible. And let's get started to actually refresh your LinkedIn and start your career journey. A little bit about myself. I am currently a principal engineering manager at Microsoft. I'm originally from Pakistan, have been in the tech industry for over 14 years, which is a really long time. I'm a LinkedIn coach, which means that all of these slides and materials is officially from LinkedIn. I've been trained on these slides by LinkedIn. So really excited to actually share all of this with you. For all of those who actually were part of GetHired 2020, you might have seen some of this material before, but I have added a few more things that are new to LinkedIn this year as well. I do a lot of community work, and Pakistani Women Computing is definitely one of my greatest passion. I lead the team that is actually organizing this event for you. And not just this event, there is a lot of other things that we do throughout the year. So I hope to see you, if not on the GetHired event, on some of the other events this year. And also, yesterday, you actually learned a lot about salary negotiations, how do you make the first impression, resume, and also how do you actually stand out in the crowd. Today, I'm going to be focusing just on LinkedIn. So I'm not going to talk about resume and other things. I'm going to be focusing about what is LinkedIn and how you can actually use LinkedIn to connect with other folks and make your LinkedIn stand out among the millions of other people that are on LinkedIn. Again, throughout the session, if you have any questions, please feel free to put that in the chat. I have the chat open in front of me, and I would be more than happy to go over that and answer any questions that you have. So let's get started. What I'm going to cover today in this workshop is I'm going to start about what is LinkedIn and why you should talk and think about LinkedIn as your professional network. I'm going to define what is a professional brand, how you can actually define your brand online, and then how you can actually have a brand statement. Then we are going to build your LinkedIn profile. I'm going to talk about some of the key things that you should go and update today, if not already, on your LinkedIn profile. We are going to talk about professional networking. How do you connect with other folks on LinkedIn? How do you use those networks to actually get referrals, to actually do a lot of other things that you can want to do in your professional life? How do you search for jobs? And I will share some examples at the end of LinkedIn profiles that are really good, and you can actually use them as an example or a sample to go and update your LinkedIn profile today. Again, if you have any questions throughout the session, if something is not clear, please feel free to put that in the chat of our live stream. I have that in front of me, and I would be more than happy to go over that and answer any questions for you. So let's get started. So I'll start with a stat. 9 out of 10 employers in the world actually use LinkedIn in their hiring process. If not directly for the jobs, they actually use to go there to find out more about you. So LinkedIn is getting more and more important in terms of hiring processes. And it's very relevant, of course, for our GetHired event this year, because even if you don't get a job this year or during this event, you should definitely work on your LinkedIn profile, stand out on your LinkedIn profile, and actually have other opportunities lined up, if not during this event. But if you do the things right, I am sure that you would be able to secure interviews and go towards next steps as well. It is also a famous quote that it's not about what you know, it's not about who knows you, it's about who knows what you know. And LinkedIn is the perfect place to actually showcase that. What are the things that you know that make you unique, and why should we hire you? And we are going to talk all about that in this workshop. So let's start with the first thing. Let's start about professional brand. What is a professional brand? What makes a good brand? How can you identify your brand and show to the employers that you are the right choice if they have an open position or a headcount? So think about a brand that you definitely resonate with. It could be a mobile phone brand. It could be anything that you really, really like. It could be a shoes brand. Why do you actually choose that brand over 100 or thousands of other options? One of the main things why you actually go for that brand is the promise of that brand to its customer. What is unique about that, which is not available in some of the other options that you have in the market? And then how this thing actually solves the problem that you are trying to actually get that thing for. So think about the same thing as a professional brand. When you have a brand, and this is a shocker for a lot of people, we all have a professional brand. If I go today on Google or Bing, if I search about your name, what is that I'm going to find about you? And LinkedIn is usually one of the first few links that shows up if you have a profile already there. And we are going to talk about that, how do you show up into search results as well. But it's really, really important that you know what your brand is, because what you put out there on the social media, especially on LinkedIn, is what a lot of employers have access to. And this is how they are going to perceive about you, even before the interview is there. So it's really, really important that you put your best foot forward on your LinkedIn profile, and of course, on other social media platforms as well, because today we live in the digital world. So let's talk about how do you actually start building that professional brand. So the first thing is, who are you? Take a moment and take a pen and paper and think about who are you. And this is a common question I get, that, wait, do I have my own brand? Yes, you do. Again, if I go on any of the search tools out there and find about you, what is that I'm going to find out? Especially in relevance to the work experience that you have, if you're looking for roles. It also is important that this actually gives employers what is that is unique about you, that differentiates you from everybody else. You are in charge of that, because you can shape your brand by the way you present yourself online. The value of your brand is divided into three things for me. The first thing is why I should choose you. As an employer, as a hiring manager, why should I take your resume or your profile above everybody else? What is unique about you? What is that you offer that nobody else offers? Even if others offer the same thing, what is unique about you or the right fit that I should actually hire you? So do take a few moments to reflect upon that, because everybody can say they are the best Python developer, for example. But you can make the brand statement about you. What did you do using Python to do certain projects, to highlight those in your LinkedIn and eventually in your resume to stand out as well? And again, we are going to talk about this as part of your profile, as part of the things that you should actually go and update. The next thing is, show the employer that you are the right choice. There are a few things that you can highlight in your LinkedIn. The first and foremost is skills, because they're hiring you for your skills. And if your skills are the kind of right match or about the right match to what they're looking for, then there's a high chance that they will actually go to the next step and actually call you for interviews and go to the next step after that. The second thing, what is unique about LinkedIn, is the network. A lot of times when it is unknown for you to know how do you actually go and apply on certain roles, the best way is to find people who are already working in those companies that you want to go and work on. And it's really, really easy in LinkedIn to actually find those people. And I will again show you some examples. How do you find out about people who are working in those companies in similar roles like you? You can network with them. You can actually request them to chat with you. You can even ask for referrals. And all of that is, again, part of the networking, professional networking that you can do on LinkedIn. We are going to talk about more in that. And then why is the right choice that you are the best option to go ahead with for the interview steps and other steps? So things that you can stand out with is your values and your goals. Because everybody has skills. Everybody has certain network that they come with. Then what you can also highlight are certain values, especially when a company is hiring. They're always looking for smart people. They're always looking for humble folks. They're always looking for people who can bring the next big thing. They can build the next big thing for them. So what are your values that align to that company's values, and they should hire you? And eventually you can highlight some of your goals that you want. You are an aspiring data scientist. You are an XYZ. What are you looking for? And you can do that as well. So at this moment, take a moment, think about three words that how your friends actually describe you. And this is a small activity. Please feel free to use the chat and put that in the chat. I'm able to see the chat here. Describe those three words how your friends describe you. And then take a moment to think about three words how your colleagues actually define you. These words are a good starting point to actually use in your LinkedIn summary later on. So I'll take a moment here, take a pause here. Please feel free to put them in the chat and we can discuss a few of those. Some ideas I can give you from an employment perspective is teamwork. You can say motivated, you can say passionate. Some of those things are really, really good skills to have. I also really see in a lot of LinkedIn profiles the word ambitious, dedicated. Some of those are action words that you can actually use in your LinkedIn profiles. So take a moment and think about three words that you're going to use in your LinkedIn profile eventually. And just think from a perspective of friend, and then think from a perspective of a colleague that you have worked with in the past. That colleague could be a person whom you have done a project in the past. It could be anybody else as well. See, somebody wrote dedicated, which is awesome. This is a great example. You can definitely use that as one of the words in your summary in LinkedIn. Keep them coming. And this is a good way to actually reflect upon how your friends perceive you, how your network perceive you, and eventually how your employers and future colleagues can also perceive you. So that's a great way to actually distinct yourself also. And you can use these words in the summary and the headline on LinkedIn as well. And we are going to talk more about it. So at this moment, what we've talked so far about is what is LinkedIn in general. How do you stand out? What is your brand? And now I'm going to focus about brand statement. So you learned yesterday in the prep days, how do you make a strong first impression? Whenever you start an interview, for example, the first question people usually ask is, tell me a little bit more about yourself. So the answer that you give is actually a very, very, very high level summary of who you are as a person. And in short, it's your brand statement. It's how you define yourself and how the employer should perceive you. Because the first 5 to 10 minutes in any interview are really, really important because the interviewer is actually going to make their mind in the first 15 to 10 minutes. So these are some examples of brand statements. Again, they're taken from the internet. They're not something that I've written. These are some that are really good examples that you can go in those links and actually find more about it. So there are two frameworks that I'm sharing here. One framework is you can start with what you do and then explain it in a way that what you do, how does it help or provides anything to somebody. There's a really good example on the left-hand side here. The other example is a very simple one, and I really, really like because it's a single line and it summarizes a brand statement about a person really, really well. And it says that I help manufacturing organizations improve their processes to reduce waste and grow profits. This is very, very simple. It's a good way to start and introduce yourself. And what this format is, you actually fill in these blanks. You start with I help dash, do dash, and that's it. So you can use these two formats today as a starting point of your brand statement. And that's the goal of this workshop. Take a moment to take a note of this, take a screenshot of this. These videos will be available later as well. But I want you all to write your brand statement. Even if you are just a fresh graduate or let's say just starting your career, you help certain people in certain ways. You've done several projects. You've done something. So highlight that in terms of your brand statement. So these are two great examples. One of the other thing is like how do you stand out and how do you actually make that strong impression? Again, relating back to the session that you had yesterday, is you can add a fun fact. You can add a fun fact about the work or a project or anything which is related to your brand statement. And you can sometimes add a stat about the work that you've done. For example, as part of your degree project, you developed a project which is used by 500 users to do XYZ. And that's a great thing to add in your brand statement because right away from the start, you're making an impression. So I'll take a moment here to actually just summarize what I've talked so far. We talked about what is LinkedIn. It's a professional network where you actually get to meet a lot of other people from your area, and even if they're not in your professional expertise area. What you can do is you can start with your brand statement. Start writing 3 words how your friends describe you and how your colleagues describe you. Those words are a good starting point to actually take them to the summary section of your LinkedIn that we are going to talk about in the next 10 or 15 minutes. And then we are talking currently about the brand statement. And I've provided you 2 formats how you can actually write those brand statements for yourself. And again, you can use these brand statements later in your summary section for LinkedIn, and they could be there for anyone to go and read about you. I see somebody actually posted about the 3 words. They are saying resourceful, consistent, and open to communicate. I really, really like resourceful, because if you are a resourceful person who can actually help other folks, then you're already kind of check marking all of the things that an employer is looking for. That means you're a good teammate, you're helping your team, you're actually useful, you know where to go and how to do things. So you're going to make a great fit in a lot of teams. So thanks for that input. So let's move on. Now, how do you show online that you are the right choice? Again, LinkedIn is one of the first few links that shows up if you have set it up right. A lot of people make this mistake when they make LinkedIn profiles. They don't actually go and change their LinkedIn profile name. So by default, let's say my name is Mozma Zahid. I will get Mozma Zahid or Mozma and then a random number in front of it. What will happen is if somebody searches for me, that link will show up little lower than anything else. So the first thing I want you all to do is actually go into your LinkedIn settings, go into your LinkedIn profile, and then change that link to your name or anything which is kind of unique. People have very, very unique names as well on LinkedIn, and that those are kind of linked to their brand. So if you have a brand name, let's say you have a brand name on Instagram or somewhere else that is unique about you, you can actually use that as LinkedIn name. And then that would be the first link that shows up. And it's actually really, really true for a lot of places. A lot of good profiles, actually, they show up as the first link on top of any of the search. So that is a great way to showcase that you are the right choice, because if I go on the internet, I'm going to find more about you. And if the LinkedIn profile is set up to be correct, then there's a higher chance that I might give you a call and I might actually include you in the next round of interviews as well. So let's talk about some numbers. These numbers are increasing at a rapid speed. There are about 50 million plus employers on LinkedIn with millions of open roles and job opportunities. There are more than 706 million professionals from over 200 countries on LinkedIn. So there is no end. There's no end to it. You can connect with all of them. You can connect with any of them if you really want to. So if you are in a certain area of expertise and you really want to connect with anyone, you can really, really go in the LinkedIn and search for them and actually send them a message as well. And then there are specialty groups as well. So you can actually join those groups. For example, if you are an AI expert, you will find several groups that all they talk about is AI. So you can actually go and join those as well. So now we are going to start talking about your LinkedIn profile. The first thing is, of course, to set up the LinkedIn profile. If you don't have a LinkedIn profile, please go in today and set up that. And you can start with very basic information about yourself, information about a recent project, information about any of the skills that you have, and then any of the past experience that you have. I do have resources. One of the most common questions people ask is, I'm a student. Should I have a LinkedIn profile? The answer is always yes, because you have to start early and building up on your LinkedIn profile so that you are available and you have a working profile which is really, really optimized when you actually have to start looking for jobs. Don't start building your LinkedIn profile only when you're looking for jobs. Work on it throughout your life cycle, throughout the projects, last few years of your degree, and then add on to those on your LinkedIn profile. So as I said, the first step is to set up your LinkedIn profile. You can actually download it on your phone, or you can use the web to actually go and create an account. Once you have created an account, again, go to the URL and change it to your unique name. Don't take the default one. Even if you take the default one, it's not the end of the world. It's just that it might show a little bit lower in terms of search results on Google and Bing and other places. Now I'm going to focus 1 minute on just describing the difference between a profile, a LinkedIn profile versus a resume. So you again there was a session yesterday about resume and what you should do in resumes. And I'm not going to go into more detail, but a very high level summary of that is resume are tailored for a particular job. So if let's say you are applying for a front-end developer, your resume should be reflected towards that front-end development job. LinkedIn is way more than that. It's actually a 360-degree view of yourself. It's about your past experiences. It's about any of the highlights, any awards. It's about the volunteer work you do. Again, all of the things that make you unique. And you can go ahead and add all of those as sections on your LinkedIn profile. And resume is actually going to be a summary of that. It's going to be a very short summary, more directed towards the role that you're applying. So that's the main difference between the two. People ask me, if I have a resume, do I still need a LinkedIn? Yes, because LinkedIn is not just for job, it's also for networking. It's also to find mentors. It's also to do a lot more things these days. And I'm going to talk more about that as well. Now, let's say you have created the profile. The first thing I want you to do is to go and update the picture. You really don't need a professional photographer to take a picture. These days, the mobile phones have really great cameras. All you need is a clear background, stand in front of it, ask a friend or a family member or somebody to actually take a picture. The picture should be you looking in the camera, whatever is your natural state, smiling, not smiling, it's totally up to you. And then upload that into your LinkedIn profile. Data on the LinkedIn site shows that the profiles with good pictures or pictures in general actually get 21 times more views than the ones who don't have any pictures. And they also get 9 times more connection requests than people who don't have pictures. So the first thing you have to do today, if you don't have a LinkedIn profile, is to go create a LinkedIn profile. The second thing is to go and upload a decent picture there. And again, I see a lot of pictures where you are not in the middle or you're standing with somebody else where there's another person next to you and their head is cropped. That's not a good picture. It's very, very simple. Just stand in front of a wall or something which is very basic, so that it does not distract the viewer from you. And ask your friend or somebody to actually go and take a picture. And then use that picture and upload that in your LinkedIn profile. The second thing is your profile sections. So you can actually find a lot of these sections in your LinkedIn where whatever is relevant to you, you can add those sections or you can remove those sections. The most important things that you should definitely go and add are these 4 or 5 that are mentioned on this slide. The first thing is the location. Again, this is a common question. During COVID, a lot of people have asked me, should I still add my location when I'm looking for remote work? Location is still one of the that a lot of employers actually use in their search criteria. So even if you're looking for remote work, there are ways you can put it in your summary. It's always good to start with the location where you're currently located, because let's say I am here in the United States. If I search for software engineering professionals, you should not show up in that search, because there's no way, in some ways, for example, if let's say you don't have the visa or other things, you should not show up. So location is a good thing to actually add, even if you're looking for remote work. The second thing is your education and certifications. Again, those are things that are important. There's a section for it. Definitely go and add that. And then add your university as an official link. So don't just type those things. There is a way to search your university and actually add that. So when somebody is, let's say they don't know anything about university, they can actually go to that university and find more about their page. So definitely go and add that section. Then, of course, your work and internship experience. So any of your past experience, LinkedIn is the best place to add that. Start with the company, from and when you were there, and then a few lines about that experience. You don't have to write every single project that you did, but think about a STAR method. What did you do? What were the tasks and what were the results? And actually write that in the work experience section. The last but not least is the volunteer experience. I cannot emphasize enough on it, because This is something that will be unique about you. This is something a lot of people are not going to add. So anything that you do outside of your work, anything that showcases that you can go beyond your day job or your typical responsibilities, is a great way to highlight on LinkedIn. So that is something also that you can add over there. And you can always choose to actually show that your education as part of your headline or not, as part of the top of your or LinkedIn profile or not. Some people have a bias from what universities you actually graduated from, so you might not want to, if let's say you are not in from one of those universities. So you can actually hide that as well if you want to, but it's a great thing to actually add. I personally think that education from anywhere with a certain, like, what is your high level degree, what was the degree in, especially if it's relevant to the jobs that you're looking for, it should be part of your LinkedIn profile. Next is, how do you actually go and update your LinkedIn profile? So the one thing you should do is to update the headline. So when a recruiter is actually searching for you, this is all what they see. And this is really, really important. When they search in the LinkedIn, they actually find this is one line, which is the headline. Again, the 3 words that we just talked about a few minutes ago, they're a great way to start with. And they are a great way to actually highlight what you are all about. So you can actually write about passionate about something, experienced in XYZ, any titles that you have, make it very, very small summary. Again, this is a very high level headline, and this is all the recruiters are going to see. And they have those few seconds to decide, even less than seconds sometimes, to actually go and click which of the profiles actually show up. So headline is all people see, and that is a great way to highlight what is unique about you. Some of the ways I can give some examples are the ones that's shown on this screen as well, where you can actually start with something that you're passionate about, especially in your industry, and then any of your past experiences. People also write that, and any big names, for example, anything that you want to highlight, you can add that. Again, that's all people see when they search. So they see your picture, they see your name, and they actually see the headline. So again, it's really, really important that you actually have a good, compelling headlines to start your LinkedIn profile with. Then the next section is the summary section. So a lot of people don't know that you will not show up in the top few results if your summary section is less than 40 words. So your summary section should have at least 40 or more words to show up as one of the top results when, again, anyone is searching for you, especially the recruiters. So a good way to write your summary is to divide it into these 3 sections. Think about 1 to 2 sentences about who you are. It is about, like, what is unique about you, what you're passionate about, anything like that, any experiences, anything that you want to highlight. Think about 3 to 5 sentences about your experiences and any of the top skills that you want to highlight. Again, there's a very good example on the screen that you can use as a starting point. And then the last 1 to 2 lines is about your goals, the things that we were talking about a few minutes ago. What are your future aspirations? What types of projects, what types of opportunities you're really looking for, or anything which is unique about you, for example. That's a great place to actually end your summary with. Again, you have to have at least 40 words or more to show up in the top results, especially on LinkedIn. So please, please, please go ahead and update your summary section. Again, I will take a pause here. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. So far, what we have talked about is, what is your professional brand? How do you define your brand statement? Go ahead and create your LinkedIn profile if you don't have a LinkedIn profile. Start with a really good picture. Update your headline, something very unique about you or something that stands out. Those 3 words that we talked about a few minutes ago as an exercise could be a good starting point. And then we're talking about the summary section. So this is a great example on screen that you can start with. Start with a very high level summary, start with your tops, then write about your top skills, and then what are your future goals as the last sentence. Now, I'll take a pause here again because we have talked about 2 major components of this workshop. The first one was about brand or personal brand, And then we just finished the LinkedIn profile section and all of the important things that you should definitely go and do. There's a lot more that you can do, but these are the must-haves that I just talked about. A good picture, a good headline, and a good summary. And of course, other things that I talked about is your skills, past experiences, any volunteer work, any awards, any honors, any of those things, any publications you have. You have several sections that you can go and add. So if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. While you think about that, I will move on to the next section, which is how do you use LinkedIn to connect with professionals? How do you build your professional network on LinkedIn? Again, there are so many people on LinkedIn that you can connect with, especially in your area of expertise, and then you can learn from that experience. There is one question from Yumna. So I'll show that on the screen, which says, could you suggest some headlines for students? What headline will make you stand out from your fellow students? It's a really good question, Yumna. One of the examples I can give you is, again, those 3 words. Those are the 3 words that are unique about you. And not everybody is going to come up with those 3 words that you came up with. So those could be good starting point. You can start with like aspiring data scientist, aspiring software engineer, SQA, whatever is your goal. Then you can write about one word or 2 words about anything that you've done, like app developer or something like that. And then maybe one more thing if you need. So those could be good starting point. Again, there are several other things you can actually look at. But I would start with what you're aspiring to be. I would write a little bit about what your current skills are in the headline. This is just simple words. And then something that you're passionate about could be another thing that you can add to it. Those 3 would be, I think, a good starting point for you to start. Again, once this workshop is over, we have a Slack channel where you can actually share your LinkedIn profile, and I'm more than happy to provide you feedback on the Slack channel for your LinkedIn profile as well. I also want to mention one thing. I have a bunch of resources from LinkedIn. Those are all official material at this link that you can go to and actually download. And there is a really good guide for students in this link that you can actually download. And there are a lot of great tips for students. How do you actually use LinkedIn as a student? How do you connect with professionals? How do you do other things in LinkedIn? So I'll keep this on the screen so you can all take it and actually go and download some of the resources. All of these are official LinkedIn resources that you can use. And there's one really good guide at this link about students. So getting back to how do you actually use LinkedIn to connect with other people, especially to build upon your professional network. So we will start by talking about how do you build the professional network. Then we will talk about how do you actually discover these connections? How do you find these people on LinkedIn? How do you search for those folks? And then how do you expand your network? What are the different ways you can reach out to them and why you should reach out to them? That's, again, an important thing that I will discuss. And then I will share some examples of some ways that you can build upon that network over time. So I wanted to start with the stat that 50% of the hires, this is again LinkedIn data, that shows that they result from a personal connection. Somebody who knows you, somebody who actually has seen some work from you, or somebody who knows something. Again, going back to the quote that I started this conversation with, it's not about who knows you, it's about who knows what you know. So if they think that you are the right fit for the company, they're going to put a good word for you. And that's what we call in the professional world as referrals. And they are a great way to actually get started on your career journey. So definitely building your professional network over time, especially using LinkedIn, is really, really useful. And data actually backs that up, that people who have good professional network actually have higher possibility to get into companies. So definitely check that out. And I'm going to be, again, giving more examples of how do you actually build that network? How do you actually keep building upon that network? And one of the things I do mention all of the time is you have to keep the network warm. A lot of people reach out when they are looking for roles, when they have something that they need. Networking is not about it. It's about give and take. Again, this can take another full hour if I go and talk about what is networking, especially in professional world. But I want to highlight the fact that you should keep that connection warm. Set up some recurring chat, set up a coffee chat, a virtual coffee chat, something like that. so that they know you and then they can think of you if an opportunity comes up. So I will again talk about some of those things, how I have built my network, for example, how I have actually benefited from it as a mentee and now as a mentor or as an ally. So starting in LinkedIn, everybody in LinkedIn has by default a network. So how it is built is it's what it is called connection. So when somebody adds you as a connection, they are your first degree connection. So everybody that you add as a connection actually is your first degree connection. Everybody that they are connected to is your second degree connections. And then you can think about third degree and more. A lot of people are at least second degree or third degree to you if you're connected to, let's say, somebody who has a big network. So by default, you all have a network. And you can start with your first degree and second degree connections to find relevant folks that make sense to advance your career journey. One of the powerful things for LinkedIn is you can send them direct messages. You can send them a message and it's okay. What's the worst that will happen? They might not respond. The one tip I do have is be thoughtful when you send somebody a message. Why do you want to connect with them? Why they should spend some time to accept your connection request? Why it makes sense for them to be in your network? Some of the folks on LinkedIn are, let's say, influencers. So that is all perfectly fine as well, because they are there to be the thought leader or share certain things. So they might not have, like they might already have reached the connection limits. So there's another option in LinkedIn is you can just follow them. You don't have to be their connections. When you follow somebody, then every time they post about something, you can be in touch with them in that sense. One of the things I always mention on LinkedIn is the more you give, the more you engage, the more you get. So it's not about always reaching out to folks when you need something. If, let's say, they posted about a latest article or they wrote an article on LinkedIn or somewhere else and they posted on LinkedIn, do comment on it, do share that, do like it, do kind of active on that. And that way they will remember you also. If you constantly engage in certain cases, people will remember you. And personally, for example, people who engage on my content, I do definitely look and I do respond on them. If they put some comments on it, I definitely respond as well. So that's a really, really great starting point. So again, you all have a network. Even if it's not on LinkedIn, you start with your first degree connections and then you go from there. You can send them direct messages. You can ask them to actually connect you with other folks as well. They can actually do that for you if they really know you as well. That's a good starting point. The second thing you can do is you can discover people that you don't know about. For example, you can go and actually search in the search tool from your current and former employers. If you're a student, you can search on alumni. Let's say you are from NUST or FAST or GIK or any other universities, for example. You can go on LinkedIn and search the names of the universities, and everybody from that actually will show up. So automatically you have a connection. You can send them a direct message that, let's say, they were a graduate of 2015. You can say, I'm graduating this year and I see that you work at XYZ company. I just want to know XYZ about this company. Can I set up a 20-minute chat with you? And again, what is the worst that will happen? They will either not respond or they will say no, that I'm super busy. That's okay. So it is that first step that you can take to actually start building your network. And that's how they can get to know a little bit more about you if they go ahead and set up a chat with you. Even if they don't set up a chat, make that message actionable. Why are you connecting with them? That's really, really important. I get a lot of LinkedIn requests which like have they and I have like nothing in common. And I don't know why I should connect with them. So I'm very thoughtful about that. Again, there are different people have different purposes, and they are on LinkedIn and other social media platforms for different reasons. So I respect that. So definitely, I would accept your request, for example, if I think there's something I can add to you, I add to your network. So I will definitely look at your message and I think about why I should add you. So that's one thing I would definitely like to mention. The next thing is you can definitely look at the connection lens. So in this search here, you can see the second, you can change it to third, you can change it to that way. And then you can also search by the current company or locations. This is the default. Again, why I mentioned in the book for a few minutes ago was that is a great way to actually connect with people, because location is one of the default search options. So let's say I'm based in Lahore, I'm going to go search in location Lahore. any of the second degree connections, especially any of the current companies that I'm interested to hire, to go and apply for. This is like great way to get a list of people who are at those companies. And you can think about some thoughtful messages, have a draft ready, make it personalized for the person that you are reaching out to. Then this is an example. You can actually, if you met somebody at some conference, for example, today you are listening to me in this session, there's a great way to connect with me afterwards. For example, send me a message that this is how I know you, or this is how I actually learned about this session from you, and then go from there. So that's one way to connect with folks. Add a note is really, really important. I cannot emphasize enough on it. We don't send random connection requests if you don't know why you want to connect with those folks. This is just my the way I think about LinkedIn, and this is how I think you will get better response, as well as people will actually will be willing to share the time and share the resources with you. Then expand your network strategically, and that's how again a tip that I have is why you should reach out to somebody on LinkedIn, why they can add value to your network. It's really, really important. For example, I connect to a lot of people in the data and AI domain because that's the domain I work in, and I want to know other people in that domain. So if they have something common or they're working on something that is related to the work that I do, I get to learn a lot from that. Similarly, I work on cloud computing. So I have a lot over there that I want to learn from the industry leaders, from other folks who are in the same industry, even the people who are starting their career in that. So I really, really want to get their questions and understand what are their hurdles, how are they perceiving it. So that's a good way to actually find folks. Then when you're connecting with somebody, these are the 3 questions you can answer for yourself. You can start with who you are, how you came across their profile, and how they can help you. If you write that, make a draft version of that, think about that, and then you can send that as part of your connection request. And even if they do not connect with you, if you haven't asked for them, for example, for a referral or for a 20-minute slot, you can make that case in that message. Again, these are all the ways you should connect with other people. You can actually message them once you connect with them. You can ask for information, reviews, interviews. You can request referrals. Eventually, if they trust you or if they know a little bit more about you, you can request recommendations. If somebody you worked in the past and you see them on LinkedIn, you can ask them to write a recommendation for you. Especially if, let's say, you are a freelancer, you've worked on something. It's a really, really great way to put some feedback or recommendation for you on your profile. And anybody who submits a recommendation, don't worry about it. You can say yes or no to show up in your profile. So definitely go and ask recommendations as well. And then, of course, add value, and engage, because it's not a one-way street. It's always like, what is that you can add to their LinkedIn profile, even as starting as a fresh graduate? What can you add? How you can engage? The easiest thing you can do is just engage with the content. You can like their content, you can share their content, you can comment on their content, especially if it's something that is related to your field. So I also want to mention that LinkedIn members are 4x more likely to get hired when referred. So this is something that I mentioned, that 50% start with 4 as well. So if you are referred by somebody in the company, there is higher chance for you to get through that. And again, this is why we are focusing on LinkedIn, not just as your profile, but also how do you build your professional network on LinkedIn. And that's how people can showcase you can showcase your projects, you can showcase some of your expertise. If something you did as a project, just showcase that, write a post about it, share about that, and then your network is able to see that. And if they really enjoy it, they can actually think about that as a referral for future if they see something which is related in their role or in their team for you. Again, please, when you send message request, put some time into it. So some examples here. This is one example you can use for somebody, asking them for an information interview to help you, guide you for your job search. This is one example. Again, another example where you're asking for referrals. I would recommend to ask for referrals from people who already have seen some work from you, because it's unlikely for people to refer you if they don't know. So if somebody is already in your network, let's say, and you have engaged with them in the past, or they have seen some work from you, this is a great way to send them a referral request. This is again a good example. Again, these slides will be, this video will be available after as well. Take a screenshot if you want to, but this is a good example of sending somebody that, would you be able to actually, I'm looking for this job, would you be able to actually put a referral for me? And a lot of people, I do truly believe that they want to help others as well. So there's a high chance that they might do. But I would still say that focus on building the network first, and then ask and build upon that eventually to get to referral. Don't send a stranger message that why they should refer you, because it's really unlikely that somebody would. Again, some people might still do, but there's a lower chance for that. The last thing, as I mentioned, is request recommendations. So this is another feature in LinkedIn. You can ask other folks to recommend you, and then that recommendation will go on your profile. And you can choose, let's say you got 5 recommendations. If you don't like 2 of them, you can choose which ones to show on your profile. Last but not least, add value and engage. So invest time in your connections and connection requests. Don't just send random connection requests. Like and share the content, the things that you like on that. You can join those groups that are on LinkedIn. Those are additional features. Some of them are very active, some are not. So again, choose which ones you want to join. And then you can also give testimonials to others. So you can also put recommendations for others. You can also write LinkedIn articles. You can also write posts. You can, if you are speaking at some conference or something, you can make a post about it. You can also use hashtags. There's so many other ways that you can engage with your community, with the connections that you have on LinkedIn. And then last but not least, there's an option to follow people as well, even if they're not your connection. So if they post something, you can still, you're still able to engage with their content. So that's also a default option. Some of the profiles who have, let's say, more than some number of connections, that's a default option for a lot of people, that you don't have to be a connection. You can just follow them. And then once they post, you automatically see that in your LinkedIn feed. So I will take a pause here for a second because we are going to the last section, is how are you going to use LinkedIn for your jobs, internships, and any of the schools, or let's say you want to go for master's program or PhD, and how do you actually do that on LinkedIn? If you have any questions, please feel free to put that in the chat. I see a few thank yous. I see somebody saying, excellent, thank you so much. And I see a question here that how can I join the Slack channel to get my LinkedIn profile review? So the way to actually do that is, this is part of the GetHired. So definitely go to gethired.pwic.org to register for our upcoming event, which is on October 9th. Once you register, you will get an email in a couple of days about the Slack channel and a lot of other steps that will be useful for you. So there is a Slack link there as well. And what I can do is actually, I don't have the Slack link handy. I think it's at the end of my slides. So stay till the end of my slides. You should be able to actually get that as well. I don't have it as a resource right now in front of me to show on the screen, but I have it in one of my last slides. So definitely I will get to that. If there are any other questions so far, please put them in the chat. Again, I will summarize what I've talked to you about so far. So we started with what is LinkedIn, why you should invest your time on building a professional network on LinkedIn. Then we talked about your brand statement. I mentioned a couple of formats, how you can actually start your brand statement. Start with 3 words or 4 words that you can actually use to define on your header. I see Azim actually just posted the Slack link, so I'm going to just share that. Thank you, Azim. So this is the Slack link if you want to go and join. That's where you will find mentors. You will also find me over there. All of the PWIC amazing team is there, and they can actually review your LinkedIn and also your resume. So there's a resume review channel over there where you can go and update your provide your resume over there. Thank you, Azim, for sharing that. So I'll keep it here for a second so all of you can see. And I'll go back to just summarizing of what I've talked so far. So we started with what is LinkedIn, what is your professional brand, why your professional brand is important. Then we talked about brand statement. I gave you a couple of pointers for all of you to take a pen and paper or take screenshots and write down your brand statement. Then we moved into how do you build your LinkedIn profile. We talked about what are the important things that you should go and update in your LinkedIn profile. Then we actually talked about how do you build network on LinkedIn. And I gave a few tips about how you should reach out to some of the folks. There were some examples also. And then the last but not least, we talked about engaging with the content from others. You can add them as a connection in your LinkedIn profile, or you can follow them so they can actually, once they share something that's visible to you, and you can comment on it, share on it, like on it. And that's a great way to kind of, they also will know that you are there and you're always engaging. So that's a great way. And there's possibility in future that they can connect with you also. So those are some things that we have talked so far. Again, if somebody has any questions so far on LinkedIn, overall, brand statements, profiles, what to do, what not to do, please put them in the chat. So the next thing I want to talk to you about is searching for jobs on and internships and other, let's say, future education that you want to do on LinkedIn. So again, these are all great features. They are available by default on LinkedIn. One of the data I wanted to share a point is there are about 34 million plus job seekers on LinkedIn. And they visit LinkedIn almost every single week. So this is the weekly stat, and this number is going up every single day. There are that many people on LinkedIn. So you have to really stand out in this crowd of folks to be noticed as well. Again, I don't have the data by country. I can definitely look that up, but these are the stats around the world, like how many people are active on LinkedIn, how many people you can get connected to, and how many people you can actually know more from your area of expertise. So one thing that you can start with, let's say you are open for work and you're just starting your career or in the middle of career or wherever you are in your career journey, there is this simple option you can see from the small video that's going on there is how you can show that you're open for work. This is a newer feature than before. It shows up as a green circle around your picture, and by default, it actually is visible. There are a few other features like that. Let's say if you are hiring, you can do the same thing. So there is the same feature available that you can say I'm hiring. But for the purpose of this session, this is a great way. One common question I usually get is, would my employer know if I put that? So of course, if you are in a company and you put that looking for job search, like open to work, this could be damaging for your current role, right? So there is a feature when you set this up, there's a feature then that you can enable that nobody from your current company or would be able to see that. So if you are worried about that, definitely go check that out. That means that everybody who has an official profile linked to your current company won't be able to see that green circle. So that's one way to kind of secure if you don't want to tell them that you're looking or open to work. If you're not worried about that, and that's okay, you can just don't worry about that setting. But that's one thing you should definitely do if you're looking for work. Again, this feature, when people search for job, this is one of the things that they can actually add on people who are currently looking for work. Because in your career switch or any of those, it could be in one of the three stages. It could be passively looking, where you're just looking around what's in the market, all of that. Maybe you're not really ready. But if you really know that you're ready and you want to look for another option, definitely I would recommend to actually put this circle around your picture. That will show you as one of the top kind of search results also in your in the LinkedIn profiles that recruiters search for. The next thing you can do is you can search for career opportunities based on these search terms, right? This is like how you basically Google or Bing. So you can search based on the job titles. You can search on the companies you really want to. Let's say you have 4 or 5 companies you really want to work on. You can put alerts on these filters. You can put on a location alert. You can put on a certain job function, experience level that you have, or the date that the job was posted. These are some important kind of things that you should search jobs, and if you like the search results in that job, you can put an alert on that. That's the example on the next one. So basically, based on all of these features, for example, I'm looking for data scientists, and I have 2 to 3 years of experience, and these are the 6 companies that I really, really like or really want to go work at. You can just search on that and then put an alert on it. And that alert could be based on whatever schedule is okay for you. It will show up that there is a new job by that company which fits the criteria in the job search. It's a bit of a hit and trial. Sometimes you have to try a few times to find the right roles. Sometimes those companies that you're looking for, let's say, don't have the jobs that you're looking for. So that is one thing. You can put an alert, and anytime there is a new role, that will show up. I would really, really recommend you, if you are in the job search, even if you're passively looking, job alerts is a good way to start with, where you can start seeing what's available in the market. Maybe you just go to those roles, just see their requirements, just to see what's the gap between your current skill set and where you want to go. So that's one thing you can also do. The next thing is, once you have a list of jobs, you can mark them as basically you may be interested. That's something internal. Again, nobody will know. This is in your profile. You can make sure that they appear on the top. You can actually go back and spend some time on them. And then you can also put some basically timelines for yourself. So for example, there's a job that I'm really, really interested, but I don't have time today. But I have time on Friday, so I can mark them as interested for myself. And then I can go on Friday and take a look at it and apply for it, or whatever next steps are needed, I can do that. Again, you can do it based on the location and all of the search features that I already mentioned. One of the other things I would recommend is, if you have a few companies you really, really want to go work for, one of the great features is that you can follow them. That means that anytime they post anything about their roles, their culture, any of those things, you would get that in your LinkedIn feed. One of the other things that I realized from data is that, again, I'm a data person. A lot of companies, when they search for candidates, they look for candidates who have followed them. And this is a thing that a recruiter checks marks. So this is something they can check, and then they can actually see if you're already following them. So that's also a great way. If you're really interested in some company, you can follow them. You can follow as many companies as you want, but don't go overboard. So just don't go and just do, like, let's say today, follow 500 companies. That's not going to work. Again, be selective, have a mission why you are on the platform. What do you really want to get out of it once you follow a company? Because if you follow, let's say, 500 companies, all of them will show up in your LinkedIn feed, and that will not be useful for your career journey. So definitely, that's a great thing to actually do as well. Now, that's all in terms of your job search. So in terms of job search, the same thing applies for schools. Same thing applies. You can go and actually follow these universities. They can follow up. Let's say once they post about their upcoming programs, admission opens. The same thing can happen over there as well. And then you can also do the same thing for internships. So the filter applies in the same way. So you can actually put alerts for internships also for any of the companies that you want to go work on. Again, I'll take a pause here. So far, again, I will summarize what we have talked about. We talked about what's LinkedIn, why you should invest time building your LinkedIn professional profile. I have the resources on the screen here. This is where you can go and find out. There are good handouts for a different perspective for job seekers, for students. There are a few PDFs that you can download. These are all official LinkedIn materials, so definitely check them out. I then talked about how do you go and build a LinkedIn profile. Start with the basics. Then we talked about how do you use LinkedIn to actually connect with other folks, especially build upon your professional network, how you can ask for informational interviews, eventually referrals from them, and then how do you engage with them ongoing. And last but not least, we talked about how do you use LinkedIn for job search? How do you build alerts? How do you actually put open to work on your profile? And then start looking at some of those jobs that show up in that search result or in your alerts to go and apply on those jobs. Now, last but not least, we are going to just talk about some extra credit, some of the other things you can do on LinkedIn. Again, LinkedIn is one of my favorite social platforms, especially for professional reasons. I do check my LinkedIn regularly as well. So I follow a lot of folks that are thought leaders or people that I want to follow, or they inspire me. And there's a great way to actually connect with them also or engage with them also. So last thing I want to mention is LinkedIn is also great in terms of learning. So if you have certain skills that you want to go, you can go to LinkedIn Learning. And I think there's 1 month free premium that gets you to learn some of those courses, especially if you're learning a new skill. as part of LinkedIn. One thing I do want to mention is I have a LinkedIn learning course that I launched start of this actually May this year. So if you want to go check it out, it's on my profile. Definitely go do that. I had really fun time doing that, and I was really honored to be part of LinkedIn instructors, which is really awesome. So other than that, there's so many other different types of learning that you can do on LinkedIn. So you can go and definitely learn a lot of those. There are also like career paths there. So let's say you want to become a software engineer, they have a career path with a set of trainings that you can take or a set of courses that you can take to actually learn that. This is the website that you have to go to for that. So it's called opportunity.linkedin.com, and it will actually show you some of those skills, and it will actually show you some of the courses that you can take as a career path for those. You can also join groups that we talked about. They are a network kind of group of people that you can network with. You can post there, and they can also connect with you. Especially, let's say you are specialized in certain things, you can actually use that and join those. So I see a question here. So somebody mentioned that some companies actually post the jobs on their LinkedIn, but some of them actually post through their HRs on their personal accounts. So yes. So once you do enough research on the companies, you will get to know that what's their pattern. Where do the jobs actually show up? Some companies show up on there as somebody is mentioning on the chat as well. They show up in the company page itself. But as part of the companies, you can actually look up their employers as well. So anybody who's an official employer, especially their HR contacts, they will show up on the top as well, and you can follow them. Again, you don't have to be their connection. You can just follow them. So every time they post, there is a great way that you will be able to see. So most of the HR contacts usually in those companies post the role. So thanks for that comment. I'll just put it on the chat. So definitely that's a great way also to get to know about more jobs from those roles. The other thing on the chat is there a way to filter posts on feed so we don't have to see people celebrating? It hurts to see those posts. Yeah, that's a good question. I don't think there is a way right now. I know this is a feature request. I've seen it in the past coming through as well, not just from you, but from some other people. But I don't know of a way to filter those. So if the people you follow, if they have these posts, the easiest way is to basically unfollow them. That's the only thing I know. I don't think there is a way in LinkedIn to actually hide some of these posts that you don't want to see. I know in other social media platforms there is a way, but I don't know of a way in LinkedIn. If somebody knows a way, please put that in the chat. I don't think there is a way right now, but this is a feature request, so they should definitely work on that. So last but not least, this is my last slide. I know we are 4 minutes over. I wanted to mention and give some examples of a good LinkedIn profile as a good starting point. Again, a summary of everything that we have talked about so far. Starting with the header picture. This is a great place. This is the first thing somebody would see once they land into your profile. But before they land into your profile, it's the headline. So headline is really important, and the picture is really important in that sense. So invest some time on those two things. Think about some things that are unique about you to put in those two places, your picture as well as your headline. Picture should be just as a clear picture. I said anything standing in front of a clear background is a good picture. Whatever is your natural way of being, just use that. Then any of the contact information, if you want to have there, that's also way, because once they land your page, how should they contact you? They can send you a message, but if you put an email, for example, if you're okay with that, people can send you a email over there as well. The next thing is the about section. That's the summary section that we talked about. This is really important. If you have less than 40 words or so, I forgot the exact number, but if this is less than that, you will not show up as one of the top results. So definitely spend some time on the summary section, which shows up as an about section. Then you can also, if you have a call to action, let's say you offer services or you do something like that, put that in there as well. That's a great way, because a lot of people have a very short attention span and they will just go through on the top of your profile and that's it. If you don't catch their eye in the first few seconds, they're not going to go further than that. So that's a great way to actually highlight in the about section what is unique unique about you. Then I did not talk about that earlier, but there's a way to actually feature some of the posts. So for example, if you had a really great article or a video or a talk that you did, add them as a featured article or featured post. So when you post about certain things on LinkedIn, you can make it as a featured post that will show up after the about section. So at the bottom of this first page, you can see there is the feature post. And those are the links. So people can click on it and they can go to another place, maybe your YouTube or maybe your Medium article or anywhere else that you want to. Then, of course, any of the engagements that you do, again, be careful on that. For example, if you comment on people, other people's updates, that will show up as your activity. So again, you have to be be respectful on LinkedIn. It's a professional network. Make sure you use it for the right reasons. That will show up in the activity and your posts as well. And then, of course, the skills and all of the other sections after that. And even in those skills, in the experiences, you can make featured items. So if something you have done as part of a project, put that over there. Same thing if you have a university experience, you did some projects or volunteer work, make that as a feature item under that. That's a great way to just add multimedia. Humans are more prone to respond to pictures and videos than static text. So definitely highlight those in your LinkedIn profile. Again, this is kind of the last slide I have. Thank you so much for being here, spending this last 1 hour or so to invest in your career, to think about LinkedIn profile, how you can stand out. I know my video has been cutting my head throughout, which is a bit awkward because of the virtual background I have, but I hope that's fine with all of you. Last but not least, these are some to-dos that I have for you with some resources. So the first thing I want you all to do is to practice your brand statement. This is something in relation to that we had yesterday. How do you make a strong first impression? Because that's the first thing people are going to ask you when they interview you, or they just, let's say they meet you somewhere. Especially when you go to the GetHired event, you go to the networking lounge and you will meet the hiring managers or the recruiters. They're going to ask you, could you please introduce yourself? Tell me a little bit about yourself. So I want you all to go in today and then write down your brand statement. In these slides, I actually mentioned some examples. Use that as a framework and write something. If you want to share that on the Slack with the rest of the community, they can provide you feedback there as well. Then you can share your LinkedIn profile on Slack as well. So thanks Azim earlier that he mentioned the Slack link. It's here as well. Definitely go and join that today. Again, this is the Slack community for GetHired for people from last year and people for this year, and really excited about that, which is coming in less than 2 weeks. And then these are the resources that is also on the main slide. Please go there, download those PDFs. There are some great resources as a student, as a job seeker. How do you make connections? Again, the summary of everything that I talked about today in those resources. I will stay here for another 2 minutes. If somebody has any questions, I'm more than happy to answer that. Otherwise, I would wish you all the best. And I would really hope to see you. Looking forward to actually host you on the GetHired 2021 event on October 9th. Also looking forward to look at your LinkedIn profiles on the Slack channel. I also want to wish you all the best in your career journey. I know there are some people coming back from last year. So really excited to see all of this momentum. And as a PWIC representative here, as leader in that community, I do want to mention that this is a lot of hard work we all have put together. This is volunteer work the team has put together, and we are really proud of everything that we do as a community. And our mission is straightforward, which is to connect, learn, and grow together. And I hope that you get that out of this session and all of the rest of the sessions for prep days. I will share some of those links here as well so that you have it. We do have mock interviews later today, and some people have slots throughout that as well. So that's the one that's showing up right now. Definitely go check that out. It's on our GetHired website. You can set up one-on-one time with these industry experts. These are some amazing experts that are coming up as volunteer with us. You can set up one-on-one time with them on the website. Go over there, and then definitely check out the rest of the sessions. If you missed any of the sessions, all of our videos are on Facebook page and our YouTube page as well. So again, thank you so much for your time here. Any other questions? So I see one question. Thank you, Malveen. I see your note. You're going to be sharing this with the Summer Sisters and Sister to Sister. Thank you for amplifying this impact. Thank you so much. I have another comment. Very informative session. Thank you, Umbreen, for your feedback. One question, any tips to become a LinkedIn influencer? I see they share repeated posts. I think it depends on what your goal is, right? So this is an interesting question. I have said this in the past, and again, this is my personal opinion. I truly believe in the quality than the quantity, right? So again, this could be a reason why you are in a certain platform. For example, if you are an influencer on Instagram, you're as an influencer, your goal is to get more followers, your goal is to get more engagement, whatever is the reason that people follow you, you have to continue to provide value to your followers, right? So the one simple way of how I think of that as a LinkedIn influencer is to add value. So for example, you want to be an influencer in the data and AI space, right? Again, this is a space that I am in, so I can give you some examples. One of the great ways is to share resources. Share resources about that space. Share resources about any of the new articles, any of the research that's happening, any of the projects you have done. I know a lot of those posts are kind of repeated in that sense because some of those things, let's say there is a new AI machine learning algorithm that came out and people are sharing it. So as an influencer, there's a higher chance you will also share it because you want your followers to know about it. So that's might be the reason you are seeing some of the repeated content over there. I truly believe that be yourself, that be authentic, and that is something that will make you unique, that will make people follow you for the right reason, and then they will stay in your network as well, because it takes a few seconds for somebody to go and unfollow you as well if they don't think your content is relevant to them anymore, and that's all okay as well. So simple answer to your question would be that invest time and understand your audience. Make sure you add value to their network, add value to their professional lives and professional journeys. I'm sure you will get more and more followers over time based on that. And then the most important thing is you should have a clear reason why you're doing this, right? Don't just do it for the sake of doing it. Invest time and understand why you're doing it. So that would be my advice. Thank you for that question. Great. I'm seeing a few more thanks here. Thank you so much, Dinar. And any last questions if anyone has? If not, then we are done. And again, thank you so much for your time being here. Please check out this prep day page to set up your one-on-one mock interviewers. This is a very unique opportunity that you probably will not get otherwise. This is the way to actually connect with these industry experts. Check that out, and also stay tuned for a lot of interview preparation guides that are coming up later today at 1 p.m. Pakistan time. And we will have 5 parallel sessions. We will have a session for engineering or software programming. We will have a session for software quality assurance or SQA. We will have a session for design. So if you are in the UI, UX research, we have an amazing panel coming up for that. Then we have a session for data and AI, and then we have a session for project management. So definitely check those out later today. You can see everything in more detail on this link. I'm happy to connect with most of you. If you let me know why you're connecting with me, that's just a very high-level summary. This is my link that you can connect with me. And then I hope to see you on the event on October 9th. If not on that event, definitely connect with us on the Slack channel. We would like to help you in your career journey. And if you benefit from these events, please give back. Please volunteer with us. Let us know how you can add value to this network, and we'd be happy to help you or work with you on that as well. Again, thank you so much. Have a great day. Let's see, one more thank you. Hi, Farah. She's our co-founder. Thank you for listening in, and have a great day, everyone. Allah Hafiz.